first animation adaptation of Superman was the Fleischer and Famous Studio Superman series that ran from 1941 to 1943. The first 9 shorts would be produced by Fleischer Studio, and the last 8 shorts would be produced by Famous Studio. Now today I'm going to be looking into my top 5 favorite Superman shorts from this classic cartoon from the golden age of animation. So let's get this thing started. The Mad Scientist is the first Superman short ever produced, and it's the only short out of the 17 that starts off telling you the origins of the superhero.
Their civilization was far advanced and had brought forth a race of supermen whose mental and physical powers were developed to the absolute peak of human perfection.
The managing editor of the newspaper has gotten another threatening letter from the Mad Scientist.
Total destruction will come to those who laughed at me and failed to heed my warnings.
So of course Lois Lane sets out alone to follow up on a lead and leaves Clark Kent behind.
Oh, no.
Thanks, Chief.
But Lois...
She flies an airplane right to the Mad Scientist's laboratory, being captured and tied up literally seconds after arriving. Keeping his promise, the Mad Scientist blasts the bridge, sending cars crashing and falling into the water below.
This looks like a job for Superman.
So this would be the first time anybody would ever see the hero in action in a cartoon, saving people from being killed in a tall building after being blasted by this madman. He then throws his body in front of the ray blast, pushing it back, and just when it looks like he's going to be victorious, he gets blasted to the ground. But that's not the end of Superman, as he punches back. Superman, of course, stops the mad villain and saves not only Lois, but also the Mad Scientist from the exploding building. The Mad Scientist is one of my favorite Superman shorts, one reason being that it's the hero's first animated appearance ever. Think of all the things through the years that have been influenced by these shorts. Would Batman and Superman the animated series be as good as they are without the creators being influenced by these Fleischer Studio classics?
Great scoop.
Yes, Chief. Thanks to Superman.
The Underground World is the 16th Superman short, and the only one on my list produced by Famous Studio. Clark Kent and Lois Lane set out on an expedition with Dr. Henderson, the son of an explorer that went missing in the Henderson Caverns. There they find a race of birdmen. Lois and the doctor get captured, and this is when she notices a statue.
Why, the resemblance is remarkable. Is that...
Yes, my father.
The Hawkmen tie them up to a slab of concrete and start to drop Lois and the doctor into some type of bubbling liquid that will turn them into a statue just like they did with Dr. Henderson's father.
Oh, no.
Of course, it's Superman to the rescue, but these Hawkmen don't give up easy. In one of my favorite fight scenes in any Superman short. But that won't stop Superman, as he saves the Doctor and Lois Lane right before being dunked into the boiling liquid, and makes an exploding escape. This is an amazing story that no one will ever know. I'm not gonna lie, what I like most about the Underground World is the Hawkmen scenes. I am definitely a fan of the style and artwork of these characters. I already mentioned how much I like the fight scene in this short, but I also feel the music in the background is really good. But I would have to say my favorite thing and visual of this short is the Hawkmen dancing around the bubbling liquid. It's just awesome. Billion Dollar Limited has a pretty basic storyline. Lois Lane is boarding a train, being loaded with billions in gold, being guarded by police officers. And Clark Kent stays behind, claiming he has another story to work on. And with $1 billion on a train, of course some bad guys are going to try to steal it. That's just how these things work. So up ahead is a car full of robbers, wearing masks, planning to rob the train. They first separate the cars from the train that had several police officers on board. The train robbers try relentlessly to get the gold, with Lois Lane still aboard. Clark Kent eventually sees a telegram and goes to the rescue. As Superman, of course. What makes this short so good is the great action shots of them going at the train. It's some of the best I've ever seen. Plus, the gunfire for a cartoon is crazy. I mean, I understand it's a different time, but we see them open fire even on Lois Lane with no censorship in mind. And what's even more crazy is that Lois then picks up a machine gun and starts shooting back. I mean, I never thought I'd see the image of Lois Lane firing a machine gun.
Crazy!
There's also a scene where Superman is pulling the train to safety as they fire dozens of bullets into his chest. Just another crazy image to see in a cartoon. But like I said, it's really the animated action shots that make the Superman shorts so spectacular. Ever notice how basically every newspaper article at the end talks about Superman saving the day and has a line like, Superman disappears, public mystified. Just classic. And now it's time for... Did you know? Did you know that these Fleischer Superman shorts are responsible for giving Superman a new power? That's right. As Superman previously only leaps except for a few artist errors in a couple of comic books. The Fleischer brothers were unsatisfied with how Superman looked in animation leaping around town. So with the publisher's permission, the superhero would now have the ability to fly. And the DC Comics would also write it into the superheroes comics from then on. In this classic Superman short, the entire city looks as a mad professor turns on a magnetic telescope, pointing it at the sky, pulling a comet to the ground, crashing it to the city streets. The police try to stop this madman that threatens to continue his experiments at any cost. But the professor locks himself in the room with the telescope before they can reach him. After turning the magnet on, the police try to jam up the machine, causing the scientists to lose control of the comet, now headed towards Earth. Instead of getting kidnapped, this time Lois just gets stuck under pieces of a falling building. Of course, it's Superman that pulls her to safety. And off goes Superman to stop the comet. And it doesn't look very good for Superman at first. The magnetic telescope is a classic short filled with intensity and destruction. A crashing comet that knocks down big buildings, sends giant explosions to the streets, and takes out a bridge with hundreds of people. I find it all to be heart-pumping intensity, as Superman has no way of physically stopping the comet. But but he finds a way, of course. He's Superman. The scene where he grabs two cut wires and lets electricity run through his body so Lois can control the machine to stop the comet is freaking awesome. In this short titled Bulleteers, Superman must stop a gang flying around in a bullet-shaped car causing destruction. It starts with the gang literally blasting through the police department. The Bulleteers threaten to take out more buildings if they do not turn over the town's treasury. But the mayor's not going to give in so easy. Will the Bulleteers take kindly to the mayor turning down their demands? Heck no. Will Superman be able to stop the bullet-shaped rocket car and put this gang behind bars? Will Lois Lane get her story thanks to Superman?
Another great scoop for you.
It was easy. Thanks to Superman.
This Superman sure is top-notch, from the villains in their rocket car blasting through buildings, leaving people terrified. The amazing high-speed action leaves you at the edge of your seat, and the music and sound effects are top-notch. My favorite being a shot over the treasury, you hear a sound of a bell clanging. The camera then pans up to a shot of the Daily Planet building. Zooming in, we see Lois Lane typing as we hear the sound of her fingers pressing the keys. The loud sound of newspapers rolling down the belt, followed by a dark, eerie sound with a close-up shot of the paper. Well, that's it. My top 5 Superman shorts. Yours may differ, and that's totally awesome. Everyone's favorite should be what they connected to or enjoyed the most. There is no right or wrong answers.
This looks like a job for Superman.